Welcome everybody to 2025. This is my first video of the year and I wanted to talk a little bit about planning in terms of some of the photography that I really want to do this year and some of the videos as well, and I've also got something to share with you that I think is really going to help you. Now when it comes to the planning, I'm generally thinking 2 or 3 months ahead. I like to always be a season ahead of having at least some idea of what I'm going to do. So at the moment I'm really thinking about spring. And one of the things I would love to photograph is nest building behaviour, to try and capture some birds collecting nesting material. This is something I have photographed a little bit in the past. I don't have a huge amount of pictures of it, but there's such a variety of obviously birds, sizes, habitats that you can see so many different types of material being brought to create the nest and line the nest. Now this is something that it's very difficult to guarantee those kind of pictures. So what I'll be doing is just visiting a few places where I know there's quite a lot of birds. Probably March I'll probably aim for, might be the best, and really just taking a chance. You know, that's probably how I've seen this the most and photographed it the most, is just by being in various places and just seeing it happen. As well as that, I would love to photograph some more courtship displays, any interaction between birds, but specifically that kind of courting behaviour that you get in the spring. I'm hoping I can photograph, and that's probably going to be done in pretty much the same way. And some more songbird pictures would be fantastic. I always try and do that in the spring, but this year I've got one species in particular that I really want to target. I'm not going to say what it is yet. And then as we get into the summer, I often find it difficult to know what to photograph in the summer. I know other people probably similar as well. It can be tricky at times. One thing I'd love to do is try and get some fledgling birds, you know, some baby birds that will look very cute, birds that have just left the nest, which obviously can be quite approachable, so you do need to be careful, but obviously very photogenic as well. So that would be really nice. And then the roe deer. If you know me well enough, you'll know I've spent a lot of time over the year photographing roe deer, but I tend to do it in spring, usually anything from kind of March to May, which works well at my local site. But the roe deer actually rut at late summer, towards the end of the summer. If you don't know that, the difference to red deer, which will rut around October, but the roe deer is usually kind of mid-July through August. That's their main rutting time, and I've never really put any time in trying to photograph that, so hopefully I'm going to try and do that this year. July, August, get down there in the fields. But I might have to do something drastic about the hay fever if I walk around in those fields in the middle of August, but we'll see. And for autumn, which is arguably my favourite season, one of the things I wanted to do this year was to try and photograph birds on berries, feeding on berries, and I just didn't manage to do it. I just wasn't able to put in the time. I know a few potential locations, I didn't visit them, and I didn't really see that opportunity anywhere else. I did try one day specifically, but that is something I really want to do in the autumn. And as well as that, to use the autumn colours, specifically in my images, and probably most specifically as my background. And a couple of other aims are silhouettes. I really love shooting silhouettes. I made a video on that maybe a couple of months ago. I would love to do some more silhouettes. The other big one, probably one of the biggest of all, which is for the whole year really, is to try and shoot more non-birds, mammals, amphibians, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. What's the other things? Anything, well, basically anything that isn't feathered. I don't know if pterodactyls count, but they're not real. Well, no, they were real. So yeah, that would be good for me, just for my own photo library, but also for you as well, just to have a bit of variety. Seals are always good. What about winter? Well, something I wanted to do this year was to try and revisit a starling murmuration, and I did try last year but failed. I didn't get a chance to do it this winter. Winter's not over yet, so maybe I've still got a chance, right? You never know. But definitely something I want to photograph again and try and do a little bit more, maybe a little bit more creatively, a little bit more around the camera settings. And possibly, I'm toying with the idea, I haven't decided yet, but where I am now, you might recognise this if you watch my channel for a long time. Years ago I set up a feeding station here, so I'm toying with the idea possibly of setting up a feeding station for small birds here again, just putting up probably a temporary like pop-up hide. But it's just a really big commitment. That's the problem. It's such a commitment if you do that. You really need to do it for a few months, and you've got to keep coming and filling up the food to make it work. So that's something for me to think about. Now what I like to do every year is to make my own little planner, and this is solely for me, things that I want to photograph throughout the year, different months, different seasons, seasons, just to remind me of those things that I really don't want to forget to photograph. For mine, it kind of includes everything in terms of wildlife, plant life. Now, if you're specifically into bird photography, then I have created a bird photography planner for use in the UK. So what I've done here is pick out certain highlights of things that happen throughout the year, opportunities for photography. Some might be fairly well known, some not so well known. Things that I think are a little bit more accessible for most people to photograph. It's a digital product. It's one page per season. You can download it to your device, to your phone, iPad or your computer. Each highlight gives you the months, because sometimes it's not just 1 month, it might span 2 or 3. There's some pictures in there obviously as well, and I've even included a few locations here and there. You can print it out if you want. If you're viewing it digitally, then there's also some links. If you click on the links, it'll take you to a YouTube video that I made on that specific subject or topic, which will give you some more tips as well. So if you want to download one of these, it's £4. It's in the description below this video. It's really, really simple, just one PayPal link. You don't have to have a PayPal account. After checkout, the planner will open, should be right there in front of you. You click the download icon and just download it to your device. If you do get one of these planners, then do give me some feedback, because I'm thinking making some more specifically for mammals, reptiles, amphibians, insects, maybe a bit of macro as well. Now, I know I talked about being ready for the next season, which I like to do, but something I'm doing immediately now this winter is looking for frogs. So yes, that can be kind of March when they start to gather in the ponds, but these days everything seems to be earlier on the whole, so February or even January might start seeing some of those frogs. If you watched enough of my videos, you might recognise this pond, which has now been here for just over 2 years. About 2.5 years, I think, and this is where I'm going to make the effort this year to try and get some frogs. I've really struggled to get them in the past. I think that's largely because I just haven't found the best location. This is going to be potentially really, really good. It's a lovely little pond. At the moment, the access to the edge of the pond is just completely unrestricted, so it's perfect for photography, and it's on private land as well. And maybe I'll get some toads, maybe even great crested newt, because actually that's why these ponds were put here, is for great crested newts, because it's supposed to be the perfect habitat for whatever reason, and they've actually built like 4, 5, maybe 6 ponds in this vicinity to attract them. They haven't plan to reintroduce them, to put them in there artificially, but they reckon that because everything's so perfect that those newts will just move in. I did actually have a frog down here in the summer when I was filming something else, and managed to get a couple of shots of this frog, kind of as a habitat shot more than anything, but just goes to prove they're around here, and fantastic to see a frog. So the idea today was to check for some frogs, but as you can see, it's a little bit frozen over. So I don't think we'll be seeing any frogs, but hopefully I'll be down here soon with the macro lens. And in terms of the videos, I'll still be making those in the field photography vlogs with as much tutorial element as I can get in there. One of the things I wanted to do this year was just provide a little bit more information on the actual subject, on the bird, the animal, whatever I was photographing, and I felt I haven't really done that too much. So I'd like to try and do that this year, is just to put a bit more information about what I'm photographing, maybe how that relates to the habitat. I will still be doing a few tutorials here and there, but probably not as many. I'm going to be doing something around urban wildlife, which I'd really wanted to do for a while, and that's going to be close to Leeds. I've got an idea for a video about photographing urban wildlife, so that might be useful to you. I'm also going to be doing 1 or 2 collaborations with other YouTubers, so I'll just leave it at that for now, but in the next couple of months you'll probably see one of those videos. And visiting new reserves, which I'm really pleased that I did do this year, because I set out to do that, to visit new locations, including nature reserves that I've never been to before, and I can not only share my experience and what I photograph, but also give you a bit of information, my feedback about that particular reserve, which is going to benefit you. Have you got any plans for this year? Let me know in the comments, I'd love to hear them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for another vlog very soon, maybe sooner than I expected, because it might snow tomorrow. See you next time.